She went into labor only to find her billionaire ex-husband delivering her baby. What he did next shocked everyone. Hi, my beautiful family. Welcome back to Mr. Peter Family, your own family story channel. May the Heavenly Father pour His richest blessings upon you today. May He surround every woman with strength that cannot be shaken, peace that calms every storm, and love that radiates to everyone around her. May every man be guided by wisdom and courage, and may every child grow under the protection and grace of God. May your homes overflow with joy, your hearts be filled with hope, and every challenge turn into a testimony of faith. I pray for your health, your success, and your family's happiness. May God lift your spirit when you are weary, guide your steps when you are uncertain, and wrap you in His divine protection every day of your life. You are loved beyond measure, precious to God and the light of your family. If your heart is true, like the video. If your love is real, write, "I am with Mr. Peter." The hemorrhaging started in the parking garage, and Sierra Lane knew immediately that death had come calling. She pressed one hand against the concrete pillar, the other cradling her swollen belly, feeling the warm wetness spreading down her legs. 8 months pregnant, alone. The father of her baby dead 4 months now, in a collision that still played in her nightmares. She'd driven herself to this appointment because there was no one else. Because she'd built her life to be self-sufficient. Because asking for help felt like admitting defeat. The pain came like a fist closing around her spine. She stumbled toward the hospital entrance, leaving a trail she refused to look at. The automatic doors opened. She fell more than walked into the emergency room. "I need help," she managed. "The baby." Then the world went dark. She woke to voices, professional, urgent. The ceiling tiles racing past as they wheeled her down a hallway. Someone was taking her blood pressure. Someone else was starting an IV. A nurse with kind eyes leaned over her. "Stay with us, honey. We've got you." "My baby," Sierra whispered. "Dr. Lawrence is coming. Best surgeon in the state." The name hit her like ice water. No, not him. Anyone but him. She tried to sit up, but the pain dragged her back down. The gurney stopped. She heard footsteps, confident, quick, then a voice she hadn't heard in 10 years. "What do we have?" 29-year-old female, 32 weeks pregnant, placental abruption, significant hemorrhaging, blood pressure dropping, fetal heart rate concerning. Sierra forced her eyes open. Dan Lawrence stood at the foot of her gurney in surgical scrubs, a tablet in his hands. Then he looked up. Their eyes met. Every molecule of air left the room. He'd aged. Not badly, just differently. The exhausted medical resident she'd married had been replaced by someone who looked carved from stone. His jaw was harder, his shoulders broader, silver at his temples, but his eyes were the same, dark and deep, and for one terrible second completely unguarded. Sierra. Her name in his mouth after all these years. "I need a different doctor." "There isn't one." His voice went flat, professional. "I'm chief of surgery. Every high-risk obstetric case comes through me. Your regular physician is out of state. I'm what you've got." "Then I'll go to another hospital." "You won't make it." He moved to her side, checking monitors. "Placental abruption. The placenta is separating from your uterine wall. Your baby isn't getting oxygen. You're losing blood faster than we can replace it. You want to argue about ancient history, or do you want your daughter to live?" "Daughter." He'd looked at her chart, knew everything. She closed her eyes. "Do what you have to do." "Good. Let's move." They took her to surgery preparation. Dan worked with precision, calling out orders the nurses executed without question. He'd built himself into someone important, someone who mattered. She remembered the version of him drowning in student debt and 100-hour weeks, coming home at dawn with eyes like graves. That Dan had been all raw ambition and desperation. This Dan looked like he'd already lost everything and built something harder from the wreckage. How far along? He asked the nurse. 32 weeks. And the father? Deceased. 4 months ago. Something flickered across his face. I need the full medical history, the father's blood type, genetic screening, everything. It's in the file. Bring me the physical file. The nurse left. Dan finally looked at Sierra, really looked. Elijah Sterling, he said quietly. That was his name. She didn't ask how he knew. He was a good man. He was kind. I'm sure he was. We were happy. I'm glad. The words were polite, empty. The silence between them was full of everything they weren't saying. The marriage they'd destroyed. The divorce papers signed in his apartment one night when she'd come to end things and somehow ended up in his bed instead. The nurse returned with a file. Dan opened it. She watched his face as he read. His hands went very still. His jaw tightened. He closed the file slowly. Problem? The nurse asked. No, everything's fine. He set it aside. I want a full blood panel. Everything. Flag it as priority. Of course. He turned back to Sierra. Your blood pressure is stabilizing. We've slowed the hemorrhaging, but you need to stay here. Bed rest monitoring, possibly weeks until we can safely deliver. Weeks? Unless you'd prefer I deliver now and put a 32-week infant in the NICU with underdeveloped lungs. She looked away. How long will you be my doctor? As long as it takes. I want someone else. There isn't anyone else. He leaned closer. I know this is complicated. I know you'd rather be anywhere else, but I'm the best chance your baby has. So put aside whatever you feel about me and let me do my job. Understood? She wanted to scream at him, to demand he explain why he'd missed their anniversary dinner 10 years ago, the night her mother had arranged for Raymond to find her alone. But her daughter was dying, and Dan was right. He was the best. Fine, she whispered. He nodded, started to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, he said without turning. I'm sorry. About your fiancé. About all of it. Then he was gone. Sierra lay in the bed, one hand on her belly, feeling her daughter kick. Strong, alive, fighting. A nurse came in, young, chatty. You're lucky Dr. Lawrence is on your case, she said, adjusting the IV. He's brilliant. Donated $50 million to this hospital, built the entire maternal health wing. That's wonderful, Sierra said flatly. He was engaged, you know, to this gorgeous woman, European, Valentina something, but he called it off 6 months ago, caught her stealing from him. Can you imagine? The nurse shook her head. He's been different since. Colder. Sierra closed her eyes, so he knew what betrayal felt like now. Good. The nurse left. Sierra was alone with monitors beeping. She thought about Elijah. Sweet Elijah who'd loved her without demands, who'd held her when she cried. They'd been building something quiet and safe. Then a drunk driver erased him from existence. She thought about the baby. Riley Elijah Lane. And she thought about Dan, about the boy she'd married who'd promised forever and delivered loneliness instead. The door opened. Dan again. He had her file and something in his expression made her stomach drop. We need to talk, he said. About what? He closed the door, locked it, pulled a chair close and sat down. His voice was barely a whisper. The blood work came back. The baby's blood type. And? It doesn't match Elijah Sterling's records. The room went cold. That's impossible. No, it's not. Because I know exactly when this baby was conceived. I know because I was there. 10 years ago. The night you came to my apartment to sign divorce papers. The night we... He couldn't finish. Sierra's mind raced. No. The dates didn't work. She'd been with Elijah. The baby was his. You're wrong, she said. Run the test again. I did. 3 times. Sierra, this baby might be mine. She's not. How do you know? Because I know. The timing fits. Stop. She was shaking. You're wrong. Dan looked at her. Something broke behind his eyes. There's something else, he said. Hospital administration is auditing my recent cases. Anonymous complaint. If they retest your baby's blood, if they find any discrepancy, They'll investigate, and they'll find out I already knew, that I saw the blood work and didn't report it. What are you saying? I'm saying I falsified the paternity report. I marked the baby as Elijah's daughter in official records. I committed fraud. And if anyone finds out, I lose my medical license, my career, everything. Kiera couldn't breathe. Why would you do that? Dan stood, walked to the window. Because 10 years ago, I came home from the worst shift of my life. A child died on my table. 6 years old. I did everything right and she still died. All I wanted was you. Just you. To hold you and remember why any of this mattered. And you were gone. Just a note. No explanation. He turned to face her. I swore I'd never fail to protect someone again, so when I saw your file, saw that insurance investigators might question your daughter's paternity, delay her care, put you both at risk. He shook his head. I couldn't let that happen, even if it destroys me. Dan, don't. Just know that whatever happens, your daughter is protected. The records say she's Elijah's. That's the story, and I'll burn before I change it. He left. Sierra lay in darkness, hand on her belly. The baby kicked, strong, insistent, and somewhere in this hospital, the man she'd once loved had just set himself on fire to keep her warm. Chapter 2. The woman who was there. First morning came with blood tests and nurses moving through her room like efficient ghosts. Sierra hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Dan's face when he'd said those words. This baby might be mine. Impossible. She'd been careful. Elijah had been the only man she'd been with in years. That one night with Dan, signing divorce papers and somehow ending up in his bed. That had been a mistake. Nothing more. Except now she couldn't remember if they'd been careful. The details were blurred by tears and anger and desperate need to feel something other than broken. She remembered his hands on her face, his mouth against her neck, the way he'd whispered her name like a prayer. But protection, that part was gone. A knock interrupted her spiral. Come in. A woman entered, tall, elegant, with dark skin and cheekbones that could cut glass. She wore surgical scrubs but carried herself like royalty. Her eyes were warm but assessing. Mrs. Lane, I'm Dr. Amara Okafor. I'm consulting on your case. Sierra sat straighter. I thought Dr. Lawrence was handling everything. He is. But hospital policy requires a second opinion on all high-risk cases, especially when the primary surgeon has any potential conflict of interest. Amara moved to the monitors. Your vitals look good. Baby's heart rate is strong. You're responding well to treatment. When can I go home? That depends. Dr. Lawrence wants to keep you here for observation. Given your history of placental abruption, bed rest is essential. Any stress, any physical exertion could trigger another hemorrhage. Amara turned to face her. So the question is, can you actually rest at home, or will you be running your design business from your bed? Sierra blinked. How did you know about my design business? I read your file, all of it. Amara pulled up a chair. Interior design, high-end residential projects. You've built quite a reputation. Won several awards. Your work is beautiful. Thank you. You're welcome. Amara tilted her head. I also know about your first marriage, to Dan Lawrence, divorced 10 years ago, and I know about Elijah Sterling, architect, killed by a drunk driver 4 months ago. You've been through hell. Sierra's throat tightened. Why does any of that matter? Because I need to understand the full picture of my patient's mental and emotional state. Stress affects pregnancy, grief affects pregnancy, and unresolved history with your primary physician definitely affects pregnancy. Amara leaned forward. So let me be direct. Can you handle having Dan as your doctor, or do I need to recommend a transfer? He said I wouldn't survive the transfer. He's right. But if your mental state deteriorates because you can't stand being in the same room with him, that's its own kind of risk. So I'm asking, how bad is it? Sierra looked away. We were young. We got married too fast. He was never home. I left. End of story. Is it? What are you implying? Nothing. Just making sure we're all working from the same facts. Amara stood, made a note. I'll recommend you stay here. Dan's right. You need round-the-clock monitoring. But Mrs. Lane, if at any point this becomes too much, you tell me. Your well-being matters just as much as your daughter's. She started to leave. Dr. Okafor. Amara paused. How long have you known Dan? A smile flickered. A long time. We were engaged once. Before you knew him. Before medical school consumed him. I broke it off to work with Doctors Without Borders in Africa. Spent years in war zones. Came back last month. He's different now. Harder. But maybe we all are. Sierra felt something twist in her chest. You came back for him. I came back because I'm tired of running from what I gave up. Whether he's tired of running too, that remains to be seen. Amara's expression softened. But don't worry. I'm a professional. Your care won't be compromised by ancient history. She left. Sierra sat alone with the revelation. Dan had been engaged before her, to this stunning, brilliant woman who'd chosen humanitarian work over him. And now she was back. Another knock, different face, kind, familiar. Simone Reeves stepped in carrying coffee and a bag from Sierra's favorite bakery. Heard you were here, Simone said. Thought you could use actual food. Sierra felt tears prick her eyes. You didn't have to come. Yes, I did. Simone set the bag down, pulled up a chair. Elijah was my best friend, which makes you family, and family doesn't let family go through hell alone. Simone Reeves, federal prosecutor, sharp enough to cut through any legal argument, compassionate enough to cry at shelter commercials. She and Elijah had gone to law school together. After Elijah died, Simone had been there, helping with insurance, navigating lawsuits, making sure Sierra didn't drown. How are you really? Simone asked. I'm terrified, Sierra admitted. The baby, the hemorrhaging, everything. What do the doctors say? They say I'm lucky. That Dr. Lawrence is the best. Something flickered in Simone's eyes. Lawrence, why does that name sound familiar? He's my ex-husband. Simone went very still. Your ex-husband is your doctor. Apparently the universe has a sick sense of humor. Can you request someone else? He says there isn't anyone else, not for high-risk cases. Sierra picked at the blanket. It's fine. It's been 10 years. We're both adults. Are you? Simone's voice was gentle but probing. Because you look like you've seen a ghost. Maybe I have. Simone reached out, took Sierra's hand. Whatever you need, I'm here. If you need me to sit with you during appointments, if you need me to run interference, if you just need someone to bring you coffee and listen, I'm here. Why are you being so good to me? Because you deserve it. Simone squeezed her hand. And because Elijah loved you, he'd want someone looking out for you. The words landed like knives. Elijah had loved her. Quietly. Completely. And now he was gone, and she was carrying his daughter, and her ex-husband was claiming the baby might not be Elijah's. Simone, can I ask you something? Anything. If someone made a mistake, a legal mistake, one that could cost them everything, would you help them? Simone's expression shifted. What kind of mistake? Hypothetically. Hypothetically, if someone came to me with evidence of fraud, I'd have a legal obligation to report it. But if someone came to me as a friend asking for advice, that's different. That falls under attorney-client privilege. She leaned closer. What's going on, Sierra? Nothing. Just thinking. Don't lie to me. I'm very good at spotting lies. Simone's voice softened. Whatever it is, you can tell me. I won't judge. I'll just help. Sierra wanted to tell her everything. Dan's confession, the falsified records, the possibility that her daughter might not be Elijah's. But she couldn't, because telling Simone meant destroying Dan. It's nothing, she said finally. Just hospital anxiety. Simone didn't look convinced, but she let it drop. Okay, but when you're ready to talk, I'm here. She stood, grabbed her bag. I have to get to court, but I'll be back tonight. Thank you. Simone paused at the door, turned back. Sierra, one more thing. When you're ready, and I know this isn't the right time, I'd really like to take you to dinner. As more than friends. No pressure, just when you're ready. Think about it. She left before Chiara could respond. The room felt emptier. Chiara sat with the words, dinner, more than friends. She'd sensed something shifting between them. The way Simone looked at her, the way her hand lingered, but Chiara had assumed it was grief, except maybe it wasn't just grief. The door opened, Dan and Amara. They moved together with easy synchronization. Amara said something low that made Dan almost smile. Then they saw Chiara watching, and the moment shattered. "How are you feeling?" Dan asked. "Fine. Any cramping? Pain? Bleeding?" "No." "Good." He checked her chart. Amara did the same. They worked in tandem, communicating in medical shorthand that excluded Chiara. She watched them and understood. This was what Dan had needed, not her. Someone who understood his world. Amara was that person, had always been, and now she was back. "Your lab results look good," Amara said, "but we want to run additional tests." "What kind of tests?" Dan and Amara exchanged a glance. "Standard prenatal screening," Dan said carefully. "Nothing invasive." "You already took blood this morning." "We need more comprehensive panels. Given your history." "You're lying." Chiara sat up. "What are you really testing for?" Silence. "Tell me." Dan set down his tablet. "Hospital administration flagged your case for review. Anonymous complaint about some of my recent patients. They're auditing files, checking for irregularities. We need to make sure every test, every result, every decision is documented perfectly. Who filed the complaint? We don't know, it's anonymous." But Chiara saw the lie in his eyes. He knew exactly who. "When do you need the blood?" "Now would be good." She held out her arm. Dan came closer, prepared the needle. His hands were steady, but she felt tension in them, felt how carefully he avoided touching her skin. The needle went in clean. He drew 3 vials, labeled them precisely, handed them to Amara. "I'll run these personally," Amara said. "Make sure there's no contamination." "Thank you." Amara left. Dan started to follow. "Wait," Chiara said. He stopped. "That woman you were engaged to, Valentina, she filed the complaint, didn't she?" Dan's shoulders tightened. "I can't discuss ongoing investigations." "You don't have to. I can see it on your face." Chiara pulled the blanket tighter. "She wants revenge. For calling off the wedding. For having her arrested. And she's using me to get it. She's using my professional record. You just happen to be part of it. So I'm collateral damage. You're a patient who needs care. That's all." He turned to face her. His expression was carved from ice. "Whatever happens with the investigation, it has nothing to do with you. I made my choices. I'll deal with the consequences." "Even if those consequences destroy you?" "Even then." He left. Chiara lay back, exhausted. Around her machines beeped. Inside her the baby kicked, strong, fighting. The door cracked open. A nurse peeked in, young, nervous. "Mrs. Lane, there's a woman here to see you. She's not on your approved visitor list, but she says it's urgent. Her name is Valentina." Chiara's blood went cold. "Send her in." Chapter 3. The Anonymous Complaint. Valentina entered like she owned the hospital. Blonde hair pulled back in a perfect twist. Expensive clothes that screamed old money. Diamonds at her throat and wrists. She smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "Mrs. Lane? Or should I call you Mrs. Lawrence? Since that's the name you had when you broke his heart." "Get out." "In a moment. First I wanted to meet you, the woman who ruined him, the one he compared everyone else to." Valentina moved closer. Her perfume was overwhelming. "Do you know what it's like trying to love a man who's still in love with his ex-wife? I spent 2 years trying to be enough, trying to make him look at me the way he looked at your photograph." Chiara couldn't breathe. "He keeps it in his office drawer, the photo from your wedding, you in some bargain dress, him in a borrowed suit, both of you looking at each other like you just discovered fire. He never threw it away, never stopped loving you. So I thought, Maybe if I became successful too, if I proved I could be his equal, he'd finally see me. Valentina's smile turned brittle. But then I made a mistake. I borrowed money from his foundation, for my brother, gambling debts. I was going to pay it back. But Dan found out before I could, and suddenly I wasn't his fiancé anymore. I was a criminal. What do you want? I want him to hurt the way I hurt. I want him to lose everything like I lost everything. And you, my dear, are how I'm going to do it. Valentina's eyes glittered. I've filed a formal complaint with the hospital board. They're auditing his recent cases, looking for any irregularities, any mistakes. And when they look at your file, when they see the decisions he made, they're going to ask questions. He saved my life. Did he? Or did he put you at risk because he was too busy being a hero? Valentina leaned close. I know things, Mrs. Lane, about blood tests, about paternity records, about a certain chief of surgery who might have made some very questionable decisions regarding your daughter. And when the board finds out, he'll lose his license, his reputation, everything, all because he couldn't let go of the woman who left him. She straightened, adjusted her diamonds. I'll see myself out. Oh, and Mrs. Lane, when Dan's career implodes, you're going to be right there in the blast radius. Collateral damage. Enjoy your hospital stay. She left. Sierra sat frozen. Valentina knew. Somehow she knew about the falsified paternity report, which meant Dan was in serious trouble. And it was all because of her, because Dan had tried to protect her daughter, because he'd put her safety above his career, because after everything, he'd still chosen to save her. The baby kicked hard. She put her hand on her belly. I'm sorry, she whispered. But she didn't know if she was apologizing to her daughter or to Dan. The hearing was scheduled for Monday. She learned this from a nurse who shouldn't have told her. The board was convening. They had evidence, irregularities in Dr. Lawrence's cases. She had 72 hours before Dan's career ended. Sunday morning brought Simone with bagels and determination. You look terrible, Simone said. When's the last time you slept? I don't know, Thursday? That's days. Simone pulled up a chair. Talk to me. What's going on? Hospital stuff. It's complicated. I'm a federal prosecutor. Complicated is my specialty. Simone crossed her arms. And I already know something's wrong. You've been staring at that door. Your blood pressure is elevated. The nurses are worried. So talk. Sierra wanted to tell her everything, but telling Simone meant dragging her into a legal nightmare. I can't, Sierra whispered. Can't or won't. Both. Simone leaned forward. Listen, I've known you for over a year. I've watched you grieve Elijah. I've watched you rebuild. I've seen you strong and broken, and I've never seen you scared like this. So whatever's happening, whatever you're protecting, you need help. Legal help, my help. You don't understand? Then explain it. I can't do that to you. Do what? Simone's eyes narrowed. If something illegal is happening, if someone is threatening you, I need to know. That's my job. It's not me they're threatening. The words came out before Sierra could stop them. Simone went very still. Who? It doesn't matter. The hell it doesn't. Who's being threatened? Is it Dr. Lawrence? Sierra looked away. That was answer enough. Christ. Simone stood, paced to the window. Okay. Walk me through it. What's he done? Nothing wrong. That's not what I asked. What has he done that someone is using against him? Sierra's throat closed. She couldn't betray Dan like this. There was a complaint filed, she said carefully, with the hospital board about some of Dan's recent cases. They're investigating. There's a hearing Monday. Who filed it? His ex-fiancée, Valentina. She wants revenge. For what? He called off their wedding, had her arrested for embezzlement. This is payback. Simone turned around. And where do you fit into this? I'm one of his recent cases. The one she's using to destroy him. Yes. Why? What's in your file that's so damaging? This was the moment. Tell Simone everything and watch Dan's career implode, or stay silent and let the hearing happen. It's complicated, Sierra said. That's the third time you've said that, which tells me it's legally actionable. Simone sat down. I'm going to ask you a direct question. Did Dr. Lawrence falsify any medical records related to your care? The room went cold. I don't know, Sierra lied. Yes, you do. You wouldn't be this terrified if you didn't. Simone's voice softened. Listen, if he did something to protect you, if he made a decision that broke protocol but saved your life, that's a gray area. But if you lie to protect him and they find out later, that's obstruction. That makes you culpable. And I can't help you if you won't tell me the truth. Why do you care so much? Because I care about you. Simone reached out, took Sierra's hand. Because Elijah loved you, and that makes you family. And because I've seen what happens when good people try to handle legal problems alone. They get destroyed. I won't let that happen to you. Sierra looked at their joined hands. Simone's grip was warm, steady, safe. If I tell you, Sierra said slowly, you'll have to report it. If you tell me as a client, it falls under attorney-client privilege. I can advise you, help you navigate what's coming, but I can't report what you tell me in confidence. Even if what I tell you involves someone else breaking the law. If you're my client, your confidentiality is protected. But Sierra, you need to decide right now. Are you hiring me as your attorney, or are we still just friends? The distinction mattered. Once Sierra hired Simone, everything changed. She'd have protection, but Dan would be exposed. I need to think, Sierra said. You have until Monday. After the hearing starts, it's too late. Simone stood. For what it's worth, I think Dr. Lawrence is a good man who made a hard choice, and I think you're protecting him at your own expense. But that's your decision. Just make it fast. She left. Sierra sat alone with the weight of it. Monday, 48 hours. The door opened. Dan. He looked like he hadn't slept. Shadows under his eyes made him look older. How are you feeling? He asked. Fine. The baby's fine. He checked her chart. Professional distance. But his hands were shaking slightly. I heard about the hearing, she said. His jaw tightened. It's not your concern. Of course it's my concern. It's about me. My daughter. Don't. He cut her off. Don't say it out loud. Not here. Dan, I mean it, Sierra. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you're planning, just don't. The hearing is Monday. I'll answer their questions, defend my decisions, and whatever happens after is on me, not you. You're going to lose everything. Probably. And you're okay with that? He finally looked at her. Really looked. And the professional mask cracked. 10 years ago, I watched my marriage fall apart because I was too busy saving strangers to save us. I came home to an empty apartment and a note. And you know what my first thought was? Relief. Because it meant I could stop pretending I was capable of balancing both. Stop feeling guilty every time I chose the hospital over you. Dan, I built everything after that. The career, the reputation, the money, became the surgeon everyone wanted, and it was all empty, all of it, because I'd lost the only thing that mattered. He set down the tablet. So yes, I'm okay with losing it, because for the first time in 10 years, I made a choice that actually mattered. I protected someone I love, even if she doesn't love me back, even if it costs me everything. Sierra couldn't breathe. You still love me, she whispered. I never stopped. The confession hung between them. He'd said it, out loud. He still loved her. I can't, Sierra said. Dan, I can't give you what you want. I'm with someone else. I know about Simone. She froze. How? I see the way she looks at you, the way she touches your hand, brings you coffee without asking because she already knows. I'm not blind, Sierra. And I'm not asking you to love me back. I'm just telling you the truth, so you understand why I did what I did. He picked up the tablet, headed for the door. Wait, Sierra said. There has to be another way. There isn't. What if I testified? They'd question you. You'd have to lie under oath. I won't let you do that. What if we hired a lawyer? I have a lawyer. He's very expensive and very clear about my odds, which are roughly 0. Dan opened the door. Stop trying to save me, Sierra. I'm not worth it. Focus on your daughter, on your future, on whatever happiness you can build with Simone. That's all I want, for you to be happy. He left. Sierra sat in the silence. Outside, the city moved through its Sunday rhythms, people going to brunch, living ordinary lives. Her phone buzzed. A text from Simone. Changed my mind. I'm your attorney as of right now. No arguments. We're going to fix this. Meet me at my office tonight. I'll clear you with the nurses. Sierra stared at the message, then at the door Dan had just walked through, then at her belly where her daughter was kicking. She had a choice to make. Save Dan and expose the truth about the baby's paternity, or stay silent and watch him lose everything. The baby kicked again, harder, like she was weighing in. Her phone buzzed again. Another text from Simone. Stop overthinking. There's always a legal solution. See you at 8. Sierra texted back, thank you. But what she thought was, I'm so sorry, Dan. Chapter 4. The Choice That Breaks Hearts. Simone's office was everything Sierra expected. Modern, sharp angles, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Law books lined one wall. The desk was glass and steel. Simone came in carrying 2 mugs of tea, set one in front of Sierra. You look terrible, Simone said. Charming as always. I'm not here to charm you. I'm here to fix this. Simone sat behind her desk, pulled out a yellow legal pad. Start from the beginning, everything. Sierra pulled Dan's letter from her bag, slid it across the desk. Read this first. Simone read in silence. Prosecutor face. When she finished, she set the letter down carefully. He ran an unauthorized DNA test, Simone said. Off the books, which means no chain of custody, no documentation, no way to verify the results are legitimate. He's telling the truth. That's not how courts work, or medical boards. Simone tapped the letter. This confession, this is career suicide. He's admitting to fraud, unauthorized testing, falsifying records. The board will strip his license. The hospital will fire him. And if insurance companies press charges, he's looking at criminal fraud, possibly jail time. Sierra felt sick. There has to be something we can do. There is. We tell the truth. All of it. We go to the board before the hearing, we present the facts, and we let them decide. Simone leaned forward. But first I need to know everything. The night you and Dan were together. Walk me through it. Sierra looked away. We didn't conceive anything that night. The baby is Elijah's. Dan confirmed it. With an unauthorized test that no court would accept. Simone's voice was gentle but firm. Which means we need to establish a timeline. When did you and Dan sleep together? When did you start seeing Elijah? When did you conceive? The questions felt like knives. Sierra forced herself to answer. Dan and I signed divorce papers 10 years ago. March. I came to his apartment. We fought. Then we stopped fighting and started. She couldn't finish. Okay. March. And when did you meet Elijah? May. 2 months later, at a design conference. He was presenting on sustainable architecture. We started talking. It was easy. Comfortable. When did you sleep with Elijah? I don't know. June, maybe July. We took things slow. Simone made notes. And when did you conceive this baby? I don't know exact dates, sometime around March or April based on the due date. Simone looked up. March or April, which puts conception right around when you slept with Dan? No, it was April. Later in April. Had to be. Had you slept with Elijah yet? Sierra's stomach twisted. I don't remember. Maybe not. So it's possible the baby is Dan's. The DNA test says she's not. The unauthorized, undocumented DNA test. Simone set down her pen. Sierra, I need you to understand something. If we go into that hearing with Dan's letter as our only evidence, the board will destroy him. They'll see a doctor in love with his ex-wife, making unauthorized tests, falsifying records. They'll call his judgment compromised. They'll strip his license. So what do? We get a legitimate DNA test. Court-ordered. Proper chain of custody. Undeniable results. If the baby is Elijah's, that exonerates Dan. Proves he corrected a lab error, nothing more. And if she's not? Sierra's voice barely worked. Then we deal with that truth. But either way, we know. And knowing is better than this limbo. Sierra put her hand on her belly, felt her daughter kick. How long does a DNA test take? If we file emergency court orders tonight, we could have results by tomorrow afternoon, before the hearing. Simone pulled up something on her laptop. I have a contact at the lab. We can fast-track this. Simone. Sierra waited until the other woman looked at her. If the baby is Dan's, if Elijah wasn't the father, that means I was pregnant by my ex-husband while dating someone else. Human, that makes you human. With complicated timing and impossible choices. Simone reached across the desk, took Sierra's hand. I'm not judging you. I'm protecting you, both of you, but I can't do that if you won't let me. Sierra looked at their joined hands. Simone's grip was warm, steady. Okay, she whispered. Do it. Get the court order. Run the test. Simone nodded, started typing. Her fingers flew across the keys. There's something else, Sierra said. Simone kept typing. Tell me. Valentina, Dan's ex. She knows about the falsified records. She's the one who filed the complaint. She told me she has evidence. Simone stopped typing. What kind of evidence? I don't know, but she was specific. She knew about blood tests, about paternity records, which means she has access to internal hospital records. Either she hacked the system or someone's feeding her information. Simone's expression went cold. That's a HIPAA violation. Multiple federal crimes. If we can prove she illegally accessed your medical records, her credibility as a witness evaporates. How do we prove it? We subpoena hospital access logs, see who's been looking at your file, when, from what terminals. If Valentina's name shows up, or if there's unauthorized access, we've got her. Can you do that before Monday? I can do anything before Monday if I don't sleep. Simone went back to typing. Go back to the hospital. Get some rest. Let me handle the legal gymnastics. I'll file the emergency motion tonight. We'll have the DNA test done tomorrow morning. Results by afternoon. Sierra stood. Her legs felt shaky. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We're not out of this. Simone looked up. Something shifted in her expression. But Sierra, whatever happens with Dan, whatever these test results say, I want you to know something. I meant what I said about dinner, about us, and none of that changes based on who your daughter's father is. Understood? Sierra felt something crack open in her chest. Why are you being so good to me? Because you deserve it. Because Elijah loved you and that makes you family, and because, Simone hesitated, because I'm falling for you, have been for months, and I'm tired of pretending it's just grief or friendship. The confession hung in the air, real, raw, honest. I don't know if I can give you what you want, Sierra said. I'm a mess. I'm pregnant with a dead man's baby, or maybe my ex-husband's baby. I'm living in a hospital. I'm broken in ways I haven't even catalogued yet. I'm a federal prosecutor who works 80-hour weeks. I'm emotionally unavailable according to my last 3 girlfriends. I have trust issues and control issues. Simone smiled, small but real. So maybe we're both a mess. Maybe that's okay. Sierra wanted to kiss her, wanted to cross the space and taste that smile. But her daughter kicked hard enough to remind her where she was. After this is over, Sierra said, after the hearing, after we know the truth, ask me again about dinner. I will. Sierra left the office. The city was dark now, all lit windows and distant sirens. She took a car back to the hospital, her mind spinning. DNA tests, court orders, hearings, everything moving too fast. When she got back to her room, Dan was there, sitting in the chair beside her bed, his head in his hands. He looked up when she entered. His eyes were red. You went to see Simone, he said. How did you know? The nurses told me you'd been cleared to leave. There's only one place you'd go. He stood. Did you tell her about the letter? Yes. Christ, Sierra, do you have any idea what you've done? I'm trying to save you. By exposing yourself to legal liability? By dragging Simone into a fraud case? He stopped, ran his hands through his hair. You can't save me. I don't want to be saved. I want you and your daughter safe, that's all. Well, too bad, because Simone's filing emergency court orders tonight. We're getting a legitimate DNA test done tomorrow, proper chain of custody, and when that test comes back showing the baby is Elijah's, you're exonerated. Dan went very still. And if the test shows something else? It won't. But if it does? Sierra met his eyes. Then we deal with that truth together. Because I'm tired of running from hard things. I'm tired of protecting myself by destroying everyone around me. So we're doing this. We're facing it. And whatever happens, we survive it. For a long moment, Dan just stared at her. Then something in his expression shifted. You've gotten stronger, he said quietly. The woman I married would have run from this. The woman you married was 22 and terrified. I'm not her anymore. No, you're not. Dan moved closer. For what it's worth, I'm glad. You deserve to be this version of yourself. I'm not brave, I'm terrified. Being terrified and doing it anyway is the definition of brave. They stood in the hospital room with machines beeping and a decade of pain between them. Outside, the city moved through its Sunday night. Sierra's phone buzzed. Text from Simone. Motion filed. Judge approved emergency DNA test. Lab is ready first thing tomorrow. Get some sleep. Sierra showed Dan the message. He read it, closed his eyes. I never meant for any of this, he said. I know. I just wanted to protect you. I know that too. And now you're protecting me instead. We grew up, finally. Sierra sat on the bed. Dan, can I ask you something? Anything. That night, the night we signed the divorce papers, the night we ended up in bed together. Do you remember if we were careful? Dan was quiet for a long time. No, he finally said. I don't remember. I was so angry and sad and desperate to make you stay that I don't remember anything except wishing morning would never come, because I knew when it did, you'd really be gone. So it's possible. Yes, it's possible this baby is mine. He looked at her. But Sierra, even if she is, even if the test tomorrow proves I'm her father, that doesn't change anything between us. You're not obligated to— I know, she interrupted. I'm not doing this because I feel obligated. I'm doing this because it's the right thing. Because you set yourself on fire to protect us, and now it's my turn. Dan smiled. It was sad and small. When did you get so stubborn? I learned from the best. He laughed. Actually laughed. It was the first time she'd heard that sound in 10 years. Then the moment passed and they were back to reality, to the hearing, to the test, to all the ways this could still go wrong. Get some rest, Dan said. Tomorrow's going to be long. You too. He nodded, started to leave, then turned back. Sierra. Yes? Thank you for trying, even if it doesn't work. Thank you for trying to save me when I don't deserve it. Everyone deserves to be saved, Dan, even you. He left. Sierra lay in the darkness and thought about tomorrow, about the test, about the truth that was coming whether they were ready or not. Her daughter kicked, strong, alive, fighting. We're going to be okay, Sierra whispered to her. No matter what happens, we're going to be okay. She almost believed it. Chapter 5. The Choice That Breaks Hearts. Simone's office was everything Sierra expected. Modern, sharp angles, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Law books lined one wall. Simone came in carrying 2 mugs of tea, set one in front of Sierra. You look terrible, Simone said. Charming as always. I'm not here to charm you. I'm here to fix this. Simone sat behind her desk, pulled out a legal pad. Start from the beginning. Everything. Sierra pulled Dan's letter from her bag. slid it across the desk. "Read this first." Simone read in silence, prosecutor face. When she finished, she set the letter down carefully. He ran an unauthorized DNA test, off the books, no chain of custody, no way to verify the results are legitimate. He's telling the truth. That's not how courts work, or medical boards. Simone tapped the letter. This confession is career suicide. He's admitting to fraud, unauthorized testing, falsifying records. The board will strip his license. If insurance companies press charges, criminal fraud, possibly jail time. Chiara felt sick. There has to be something we can do. There is. We tell the truth, all of it. We go to the board before the hearing and let them decide. Simone leaned forward. But first I need to know everything. When did you and Dan sleep together? Sierra looked away. We didn't conceive anything that night. The baby is Elijah's. Dan confirmed it. With an unauthorized test, no court would accept. Simone's voice was gentle but firm. Which means we need to establish a timeline. When did you and Dan sleep together? When did you start seeing Elijah? Sierra forced herself to answer. Dan and I signed divorce papers 10 years ago. March. We fought. Then we stopped fighting and started... She couldn't finish. Okay. March. And Elijah? May. 2 months later, at a design conference, we started talking. When did you sleep with Elijah? June, maybe July. We took things slow. Simone made notes. And when did you conceive? Sometime around March or April, based on the due date. Simone looked up. March or April, which puts conception right around when you slept with Dan. No, it was April, later in April. Had you slept with Elijah yet? Sierra's stomach twisted. Maybe not. So it's possible the baby is Dan's. The DNA test says she's not. The unauthorized, undocumented DNA test. Simone set down her pen. Sierra, if we go into that hearing with Dan's letter as our only evidence, the board will destroy him. They'll see a doctor in love with his ex-wife, making unauthorized tests, falsifying records. So what do? We get a legitimate DNA test, court-ordered, proper chain of custody. If the baby is Elijah's, that exonerates Dan. And if she's not, then we deal with that truth. But either way, we know. Sierra put her hand on her belly, felt her daughter kick. How long does a DNA test take? If we file emergency court orders tonight, we could have results by tomorrow afternoon before the hearing. Simone. Sierra waited until the other woman looked at her. If the baby is Dan's, that means I was pregnant by my ex-husband while dating someone else. That makes you human, with complicated timing. Simone reached across the desk. I'm not judging you. I'm protecting you. Both of you. Okay, Sierra whispered. Do it. Get the court order, run the test. Simone nodded, started typing. There's something else, Sierra said. Tell me. Valentina, Dan's ex. She knows about the falsified records. She's the one who filed the complaint. She has evidence. Simone stopped typing. What kind of evidence? Blood tests, paternity records. Which means she has access to internal hospital records. Either she hacked the system or someone's feeding her information. Simone's expression went cold. That's HIPAA violations, multiple federal crimes. If we can prove she illegally accessed your medical records, her credibility evaporates. How do we prove it? We subpoena hospital access logs. If Valentina's name shows up or there's unauthorized access, we've got her. Can you do that before Monday? I can do anything before Monday if I don't sleep. Simone went back to typing. Go back to the hospital. Get some rest. I'll file the motion tonight. We'll have the test done tomorrow morning. Sierra stood. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Simone looked up. But Sierra, whatever happens with Dan, I want you to know something. I meant what I said about dinner, about us. None of that changes based on who your daughter's father is. Sierra felt something crack open in her chest. Why are you being so good to me? Because you deserve it. Because Elijah loved you, and because I'm falling for you. Have been for months. I'm tired of pretending it's just grief. The confession hung in the air, real, raw. "I don't know if I can give you what you want," Sierra said. "I'm a mess. I'm pregnant with a dead man's baby, or maybe my ex-husband's baby. I'm a federal prosecutor who works 80-hour weeks. I'm emotionally unavailable according to my last 3 girlfriends." Simone smiled, small but real. "So maybe we're both a mess. Maybe that's okay." Sierra wanted to kiss her, but her daughter kicked hard. "After this is over, after the hearing, ask me again about dinner." "I will." When she got back to her room, Dan was there, sitting beside her bed, his head in his hands. He looked up. His eyes were red. "You went to see Simone," he said. "Did you tell her about the letter?" "Yes." "Christ, Sierra, do you have any idea what you've done?" "I'm trying to save you. By exposing yourself to legal liability, by dragging Simone into a fraud case." He ran his hands through his hair. "You can't save me. I want you and your daughter safe. That's all." "Well, too bad. Because Simone's filing emergency court orders tonight. We're getting a legitimate DNA test tomorrow. When that test comes back showing the baby is Elijah's, you're exonerated." Dan went very still. "And if the test shows something else?" "It won't. But if it does," Sierra met his eyes, "then we deal with that truth together. Because I'm tired of running from hard things. So we're doing this. We're facing it." For a long moment, Dan just stared at her. "You've gotten stronger," he said quietly. "The woman I married would have run from this." "The woman you married was 22 and terrified. I'm not her anymore." "No, you're not." Dan moved closer. "For what it's worth, I'm glad. I'm not brave, I'm terrified. Being terrified and doing it anyway is the definition of brave." Sierra's phone buzzed. Text from Simone. "Motion filed. Judge approved emergency DNA test. Lab is ready first thing tomorrow. Get some sleep." Sierra showed Dan the message. He read it, closed his eyes. "I never meant for any of this," he said. "I know. And now you're protecting me instead. We grew up. Finally." Sierra sat on the bed. "Dan, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "That night, the night we signed the divorce papers, do you remember if we were careful?" Dan was quiet for a long time. "No," he finally said. "I don't remember. I was so angry and sad and desperate to make you stay that I don't remember anything except wishing morning would never come." "So it's possible." "Yes, it's possible this baby is mine." He looked at her. "But Sierra, even if she is, that doesn't change anything between us. I know, I'm not doing this because I feel obligated. I'm doing this because it's the right thing." Dan smiled, sad and small. "When did you get so stubborn?" "I learned from the best." He laughed, actually laughed. "Get some rest," Dan said. "Tomorrow's going to be long." He started to leave, then turned back. "Sierra, thank you for trying, even if it doesn't work. Everyone deserves to be saved, Dan, even you." He left. Sierra lay in the darkness and thought about tomorrow, about the test, about the truth that was coming. Her daughter kicked, strong, alive. "We're going to be okay," Sierra whispered. "No matter what happens, we're going to be okay." She almost believed it. Chapter 6. What he saw in her eyes. The DNA test happened at dawn. A court-appointed technician arrived with proper documentation and chain of custody forms. Sierra signed papers. They took blood. They took Dan's blood. They took samples from Elijah's autopsy records. Simone stood in the corner, watching every step. "Results by afternoon," the technician said. "Judge's orders, fast-tracked." Then they were alone. Sierra, Simone, the waiting. "Whatever the results say, we'll handle it," Simone said. "If the baby is Elijah's, Dan is exonerated. If she's Dan's, we have other options." "Like what?" "Like the truth, that you and Dan slept together once during your divorce. That you believed the baby was Elijah's based on timing. That Dan's only crime was trying to protect his patient from an insurance investigation." Sierra closed her eyes. "And if Valentina has other evidence?" Then we deal with that too. The door opened. Amara entered. The hospital board moved the hearing up, Amara said. They want to convene this afternoon, as soon as the DNA results come back. They can't do that, Simone said, standing. Valentina pushed for it, said she has witnesses, evidence that can't wait. Amara looked at Sierra. She's on the board. Donated 10 million after Dan called off the wedding. She has influence. There's more, Amara said quietly. She's subpoenaed me as a witness. To testify about what? Simone asked. About Dan's judgment. About whether his personal feelings compromised his medical decisions. Amara's expression was pained. I have to answer honestly. And honestly. I think Dan made decisions about Sierra's care that he wouldn't have made for any other patient. So, you're going to help her destroy him, Sierra said. I'm going to tell the truth. That Dan is brilliant and ethical and the best surgeon I've ever known, but also that he's been in love with you for 10 years. Simone was already typing. I need to see the witness list, the evidence Valentina's planning to present. I can't give you official documents, but I can tell you what I know. Amara pulled up a chair. Valentina has access logs showing Dan looked at Sierra's file 47 times in 1 week, most from his home computer. She has emails from the night Dan ran the unauthorized DNA test, and she has the original blood work results. How did she get all that? Sierra asked. She hacked the system, downloaded everything before anyone noticed. Then we have her, Simone said. Illegal access to medical records, HIPAA violations. Maybe, if you can prove it was her. Amara stood. But even if you can, it doesn't change what she has. The evidence is real. She left. Sierra sat in the silence. Her daughter kicked. We're going to lose, Sierra said quietly. Not yet, we're not. Simone was typing. I'm calling in favors, getting character witnesses. Before Sierra could respond, her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Mrs. Lane? This is Dr. Torres from the genetics lab. I have your results. Sierra's heart stopped. Already? Judge's orders. The results are conclusive. The baby's biological father is Elijah Sterling. The baby is definitely not related to Dan Lawrence. The original blood type discrepancy was a clerical error. Sierra couldn't breathe. Relief and grief crashed over her. Thank you, she managed. She hung up, looked at Simone. Elijah's, she whispered. The baby is Elijah's. Simone's grip tightened, which means Dan was wrong. He falsified records to protect you from an investigation that would have found nothing. He did it because he believed the baby might be his, except she's not his daughter. Sierra felt tears streaming. Elijah's baby, all this time. Hey! Simone pulled her into a hug. It's okay. But now he's going to lose everything for a baby that isn't even his. We don't know that yet. We still have the hearing. The door opened. Dan. He took one look at Sierra's face and knew. The results came back, he said. Sierra nodded. She's Elijah's. Lab error. Dan closed his eyes, exhaled slowly. When he opened them, there was relief, mixed with sadness. Good, he said. That's good. Dan, I'm so sorry. For a baby I thought might be mine, for a woman I love, I'd do it again. He came closer. The hearing is in 3 hours. We're going to fight them, Simone said. We have the DNA results. We have evidence of Valentina's illegal access. Dan looked at Simone. You're a good person, taking care of her like this. I'm a federal prosecutor taking down someone who committed federal crimes, Simone said. But yes, I'm also taking care of her. Dan smiled, sad. She's lucky to have you. I should go, Dan said. Prepare for the hearing. Dan, Sierra said. He stopped. Whatever happens, thank you. Don't thank me yet. If this goes badly, you'll be subpoenaed, questioned. You're not dragging me. I'm choosing to be here. He nodded. Left. Simone immediately started packing her briefcase. I need to get to the courthouse. Can you be ready in 2 hours? Do I have to testify? Probably, but you don't have to lie for him. Tell the truth. She left. Sierra was alone with the machines beeping. Riley kicked. "Your daddy was Elijah," Sierra whispered. "Kind, gentle Elijah. He would have loved you so much." She got up, walked to the bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror. 8 months pregnant, exhausted, terrified, but stronger. "We're going to be okay," she told her reflection. "We survive." A nurse knocked. "Mrs. Lane, there's a car here to take you to the hearing." "I'm ready." The car ride was silent. Sierra watched the city pass. They arrived at the hospital administration building. Simone was waiting. "Ready?" "No, but let's do this anyway." They walked in together, down sterile hallways to a large boardroom. Dan was already there with his lawyer. He looked up when Sierra entered. Their eyes met. She saw everything: love, regret, acceptance. Valentina arrived last, dressed perfectly, smiling like she'd already won. The board chairman called the meeting to order. "We're here to investigate allegations of professional misconduct against Dr. Dan Lawrence." The chairman looked at Dan. "How do you plead?" Dan stood. "Guilty to all charges." The room erupted. Sierra realized that Dan had just decided to go down without a fight, to protect her from testifying. He was falling on his sword. For her. Again. The hearing lasted 4 hours. Dan didn't deny falsifying records, didn't deny the unauthorized DNA test. He laid it all out. His lawyer tried to argue mitigating circumstances, but the board was unmoved. Valentina presented her evidence: access logs, emails, the original blood work. Amara testified, said Dan was the best surgeon she'd ever known, but confirmed his behavior regarding Sierra's case had been unusual. Simone tried to get the board to consider the illegal access, but they waved it off. Finally, the board announced their decision. Dr. Dan Lawrence was stripped of his medical license. Effective immediately, the hospital was terminating his contract. The board was recommending criminal charges. Dan accepted the verdict without flinching. Valentina smiled, victorious. But Sierra just watched Dan walk out with his head high and his career in ashes. She tried to follow him, but Simone stopped her. "Give him space." So Sierra did. Days passed, then weeks. Dan didn't visit, had vanished. Riley was born 3 weeks later, healthy, perfect. Simone was there for the birth, held Sierra's hand, was the first person to hold her after Sierra. "She's beautiful," Simone whispered. In the weeks that followed, they fell into a rhythm. Simone would come by after court, help with Riley. One night, 3 months after Riley was born, Simone stayed late, Riley asleep between them. "I meant what I said," Simone said. "About dinner, about us. And I'm terrified." "Of what?" "Of doing this wrong, of not being able to give you what you deserve. I don't want someone whole. I want you." Simone reached over. "If you'll have me." "I don't know if I can be what you need." "You already are." They kissed, soft, then deeper. "So, dinner?" "Yes, but here." "Deal." They spent the next months building something new. Simone moved in gradually. Riley called her Mama Simone. Sierra woke up one morning and realized she was happy. Steady, sustainable happiness. Dan was a ghost in that life, until the day the letter arrived. "Sierra, I'm in a small town in Montana, working as a general practitioner. It's not glamorous, but it's good work. I heard you had a daughter, that she's healthy, that Simone is in the picture. I'm glad. You deserve happiness. I don't regret what I did, because for once, I put you first. I'm happy here. I've even started seeing someone, a kindergarten teacher, Joanna. It's easy with her. Maybe easy is what I need. I hope you're well. I hope Simone treats you the way you deserve." Dan. Sierra read it 3 times, showed Simone. "He's moved on," Simone said, "but it still hurts." Simone pulled her close. "You're allowed to mourn what you had, even while building what we have. I want to write back." So she did. "Dan, Riley is beautiful. She has Elijah's eyes. I see him in her every day. Simone and I are building something real. She's good to me. I forgive you. For the missed anniversaries, for choosing surgery over us, because you were doing the best you could. We were the right people at the wrong time. I hope you're happy in Montana. I hope Joanna sees how good you are. Sierra. She sent the letter. Didn't expect a response. It was closure, finally. Life moved forward. Riley grew. Simone proposed 1 year later. Will you marry me? Sierra said yes. 3 months before the wedding, another letter arrived. Sierra, I'm getting married too, to Joanna. She's pregnant, a boy. I'm going to be a father, a second chance to get it right. Be happy with Simone. She's good for you in ways I never could be. And if Riley ever asks about me, tell her I was just a doctor who cared about keeping her safe. Dan. They married in spring, Riley as flower girl. Amara came with a note. Dan wanted me to tell you congratulations. No dramatic confrontation, no last-minute declarations, just two people who'd once loved each other learning how to love different people better. 2 years later, one final letter. Sierra, my son was born. When they handed him to me, I finally understood what you meant about Elijah's absence being a physical wound. I think this is my last letter, because I finally understand what it means to love someone and let them go completely. Tell Riley when she's old enough that once upon a time there was a doctor who cared enough about her to lose everything, and he'd do it again. Dan, Sierra cried, then folded it carefully with all the others. What will you do with them? Simone asked. Keep them, for Riley. So someday she understands that love comes in different forms. They never heard from Dan again, but sometimes, late at night, Sierra would think about him in Montana, finally at peace. And she'd hope he was happy, the way she finally was. Chapter 7. The Call That Broke the Rules. Riley was 5 when Sierra's mother had a stroke. The phone call came at dawn, an unfamiliar number. A nurse from a hospital 2 hours away. Mrs. Reeves, your mother, Helen Lane, was admitted last night. Massive stroke. She's asking for you. Sierra's stomach dropped. She hadn't spoken to her mother in 7 years. Not since that awful confrontation when her mother had called her disgusting for being with Simone. Is she going to die? Sierra asked. It's serious. You should come soon. Sierra hung up, stared at the phone. Simone found her at the kitchen table an hour later, coffee untouched. What's wrong? My mother had a stroke. She's dying. She wants to see me. Simone sat down. Do you want to go? I don't know. Part of me wants her to die alone, the way she made me feel alone my whole life. And the other part? The other part remembers being 7 and thinking she was the most beautiful woman in the world, before I understood that beautiful people can be ugly inside. Simone reached across the table. Whatever you decide, I support you. But Sierra, you don't owe her forgiveness just because she's dying. I know. Riley appeared in the doorway, dragging her stuffed rabbit. Mommy, why are you sad? Sierra pulled her daughter onto her lap. My mother is sick, in the hospital. The mean grandma? Sierra had never explicitly called her mother mean to Riley, but children understood things. Yes, the mean grandma. Are you going to see her? I don't know. Riley thought about this with 5-year-old seriousness. Mama Simone says we should be kind, even to mean people, because being mean back doesn't make us feel better. Sierra looked at Simone over Riley's head. Simone shrugged. I said that about a bully at her school, but I guess it applies, so I should go. Only if you want to, for you, not for her. Sierra made the decision. I'll go, but alone. I need to face this by myself. Okay, but I'm driving you there and waiting in the parking lot. Non-negotiable. They arrived at the hospital at noon. Small, rural. The kind of place Dan would have fit perfectly. Sierra found the room. A nurse opened the door. You must be the daughter. She's been asking for you all morning. Sierra stepped inside. Her mother looked ancient, diminished. One side of her face drooped from the stroke, IV line snaked from her arms. Helen Lane opened her eyes. Something flickered across her face. Recognition. "You came," she rasped. "I came. I thought you'd let me die alone, after everything." "I considered it." Helen's mouth twisted into something that might have been a smile. "You're honest now? You didn't used to be." "I learned to be. The hard way." They sat in silence. The monitors filled the space between them. "I'm sorry," Helen finally said, "for Raymond, for forcing you to marry him, for not protecting you when he hurt you." Sierra's breath caught. This was the first time her mother had ever acknowledged what Raymond had done. "Why did you do it?" Sierra asked. "Because I married a man like that, your father, and I thought that was what marriage was, suffering in expensive clothes. I wanted you to have what I had. I didn't know it was wrong until I was too old to escape. So you trapped me instead." "Yes, and I'm sorry. I didn't know how else to prepare you for the world, for survival. You could have taught me to leave, to be strong, to choose myself. I didn't know how." Helen's voice was getting weaker. "I never learned those things." Sierra felt tears burning, not for her mother, for the little girl her mother had been before she'd become the weapon that wounded her own daughter. "I left anyway," Sierra said. "I found Dan, then Elijah, then Simone. I learned to choose myself despite everything you taught me." "Good, that's good." Helen closed her eyes. "The woman, Simone, she loves you?" "Yes." "And you love her?" "Yes." "Then I failed you less than I thought. You learned to be loved properly, even after everything." "No thanks to you." "No, but maybe a little bit because of me, because I showed you exactly what not to become." Sierra couldn't argue with that. Her mother had been a perfect blueprint for what to avoid. "I'm not going to recover from this," Helen said. "The doctors already told me. Maybe days, maybe hours." "I know. And you're not going to forgive me? Not really?" "No, I'm not." Helen nodded. "I don't blame you." "But I don't hate you anymore," Sierra said quietly. "I spent years hating you, blaming you for everything, but I don't anymore, because I understand now that you were broken too, and broken people break other people. That's more grace than I deserve. Probably, but I'm not giving it to you. I'm giving it to myself, so I can finally stop carrying you around in my anger." Helen smiled, sad and small, and the first genuine expression Sierra had seen on her face in 30 years. "You turned out better than me," Helen whispered. "Despite everything, you turned out strong." "I had to. You didn't give me another option." They sat together for another hour, didn't talk much, just existed in the same space for the last time. Finally, Helen's breathing changed, became shallow. The nurse came in. "It won't be long now," she said gently. Sierra held her mother's hand. It was papery, fragile. "Go," Helen whispered. "Don't watch me die. Remember me when I was beautiful, before I became this." "You were never beautiful on the inside," Sierra said. "But I'll try to remember the version of you I loved before I knew better." Helen nodded, closed her eyes. Sierra left, walked to the parking lot where Simone was waiting. "How was it?" "Complicated." She apologized, sort of, as much as she was capable of. "Did it help?" "I don't know. Ask me in a year." Helen died that night, alone, the way she'd lived most of her life. Sierra didn't cry at the funeral, neither did Simone. Riley asked why Grandma had been mean, and Sierra tried to explain that sometimes people are mean because they're scared and broken. "Like the witch in the story?" Riley asked. "Exactly like that, but without the redemption arc." 2 weeks after the funeral, another letter arrived from Montana. "Sierra, I heard about your mother, through medical networks. Small world. I remember her. The way she looked at you. The poison she dripped in your ears about me. About us. I'm sorry she's gone. But I'm not sorry you're free of her. I know what it's like to lose a parent who never really loved you the way you needed. My father died when I was in medical school. I felt relief more than grief, then felt guilty for the relief. You're allowed to feel whatever you feel. Relief. Guilt. Nothing at all. There's no wrong way to grieve someone who hurt you. I hope you're well. I hope Riley never has to understand what it's like to be raised by someone who sees you as a burden instead of a gift. And I hope Simone knows how lucky she is to have you. Dan. Sierra showed the letter to Simone. He's still checking in on you, after all these years. Not on me. On the memory of us. It's different. Is it? Yes, because I don't love him anymore. Not the way I did. But I respect what we were, and I respect who he became after we destroyed each other. Do you miss him? Sierra thought about it honestly. Sometimes. But the way you miss a phase of your life that's over, not the way you miss someone you want back. Good, because I'm not sharing you. They kissed. Riley made gagging sounds from the doorway. They laughed. Life moved on. Sierra's mother became a story, a cautionary tale, a ghost that lost power with every year that passed. Riley grew, started school, made friends, was loved and healthy and everything her mother hadn't been. And somewhere in Montana, Dan Lawrence lived his own quiet life, separate and complete. The letters came less frequently now. Birthdays, holidays, brief updates, nothing that required response. They'd achieved what so few ex-lovers managed, genuine peace, not the kind that comes from forgetting, but the kind that comes from fully remembering and choosing grace anyway. Chapter 8. When the monster came back, Raymond showed up at Sierra's design studio on a Tuesday morning in October, 7 years after she'd seen him last. She was meeting with a client when her assistant burst in, pale and shaking. "Mrs. Reeves, there's a man outside. He's drunk, demanding to see you. He won't leave." Sierra's blood went ice cold. "What's his name?" "He won't say, but he keeps calling you Sierra Lane." Only one person still called her that. She apologized to her client, rescheduled, and went to the front office. Through the glass doors, she could see him. Raymond, older, heavier, with the bloated face of someone who'd spent years drinking. He saw her, smiled, the same smile that used to make her stomach turn. She picked up her phone, called Simone first, then building security. Then she opened the door. "Raymond, you need to leave. That's no way to greet your husband." "Ex-husband. We've been divorced for 9 years. Still, you'd think you'd show some respect." He swayed slightly, definitely drunk. "I need to talk to you." "No, you need to leave before I have you arrested for trespassing." "For what? Coming to see my wife?" "I'm not your wife. I'm married to someone else now." "To that woman, the lawyer." His face twisted. "You turned into a dyke. That's disgusting. Get out. Not until you give me what I'm owed. Compensation for the years you wasted, for the humiliation." "You're owed nothing. I'm owed compensation for having to tell people my wife ran off with a woman." Sierra felt rage building. The old fear was there too, but the rage was stronger. "You want compensation? For what? For the 3 years you spent beating me? For the nights I went to bed with bruises? For making me believe I deserved it?" "You did deserve it. You were a terrible wife. Get out before I call the police." "The police won't do anything. I'm not threatening you. You're drunk in public, harassing your ex-wife, violating the restraining order from 10 years ago." His expression darkened. He took a step forward. Sierra stepped back. "You think you're so much better than me now?" Raymond snarled. "With your fancy studio and your wife, you're still the same scared girl I married?" "You're right. I was scared. But I'm not that girl anymore." "Prove it. You're not worth proving anything to." Security arrived. 2 large men who'd dealt with difficult clients before. "Sir, you need to leave the premises." "She's my wife." "Sir, leave now or we call the police." Raymond looked at Sierra one last time. "This isn't over. You owe me, and I'm going to collect." They escorted him out. Sierra watched through the window as they put him in a car. Then she collapsed into a chair and started shaking. Simone arrived 15 minutes later, took one look at Sierra, and went into prosecutor mode. "Tell me everything, every word he said, every threat." Sierra recounted it. Simone took notes, made calls. Within the hour, she'd filed a police report, gotten a new restraining order, and had patrol cars looking for Raymond's vehicle. "He's going to jail," Simone said, "for violating the original restraining order, for drunk driving, for harassment. He said I owe him, for leaving. He's delusional and dangerous, but he's not getting near you again, I promise." But Raymond was smarter than they'd given him credit for. The school called 2 days later. A man had been seen outside the playground during recess, watching the children. Security had approached him, but he'd left before they could get a description. Sierra's world tilted. "He knows about Riley," she said to Simone that night. "He's using her to get to me. We're getting ahead of this. I've already contacted the school. They're on high alert. No one gets near Riley except us. I've got a patrol car driving by the house every hour." "So we wait for him to do something to hurt Riley?" "No, we go on offense." Simone pulled up something on her laptop. "Raymond's broke. Lost his business 3 years ago. Lives in a trailer park. Drinks himself unconscious most nights. He's desperate. And desperate people make mistakes." The next night, Raymond showed up at their house at midnight, banging on the door, screaming about rights and money owed. Simone had been expecting it, had cameras installed, had the police on speed dial. They came within 5 minutes, found Raymond on the front lawn, drunk and belligerent, arrested him for public intoxication, disturbing the peace, and violating a restraining order. He spent the night in jail, but the prosecutor's office let him go the next morning. "It's not enough," Sierra said. "He's going to come back. Then we'll be ready." But they weren't ready for what happened next. Riley's school called during lunch. Emergency lockdown. A man had broken into the building, was in the hallways, looking for a specific child. Sierra and Simone arrived to police cars and panicked parents. Riley was safe, locked in a classroom with her teacher and 30 other terrified children, but Raymond was in custody, again. This time he didn't get out. Simone prosecuted him herself, breaking and entering, attempted kidnapping, violation of multiple restraining orders, harassment, stalking. The charges added up. The judge listened to Sierra's testimony about their marriage, about the abuse, about the years of fear, and sentenced Raymond to 5 years in prison. Sierra sat in the courtroom and watched him be taken away in handcuffs. He looked back at her once, mouthed something that might have been, "This isn't over," or "I'm sorry." She didn't care which. That night Dan called. Not a letter this time, an actual phone call. "I heard what happened, through the medical network. Small towns, people talk." "Of course you did. Are you okay?" "I don't know. Ask me when I stop feeling like he's going to appear every time I turn around. He won't, not for years. And by then, he'll be a different person. Prison does that. You sound like you know from experience. I work in the prison system here, part-time, medical care for inmates. I've seen what incarceration does. I don't care if he heals, I just want him gone from my life." "He is." Simone made sure of that. She did. Chiara felt tears building. "She's been incredible through all of this. She loves you." "I know. And you love her." "Yes. Then you're exactly where you should be, with someone who actually knows how to protect you." Sierra understood the subtext. Dan was talking about himself too. "Dan, you protected me. When it mattered. You risked everything. And then I left. Because I didn't know how to stay and be what you needed. Maybe I needed you to leave, so I could become who I am now. Maybe." They talked for another hour, about Riley, about his son, about their separate, complete lives. "I'm glad you called," Sierra said finally. "It's good to hear your voice too. But Sierra, this is probably the last time, not because I don't care, but because I think we've finally said everything that needs saying." "Agreed." Be happy. Be safe. And tell Riley that once upon a time, there was a doctor who made terrible choices to keep her safe. And he'd do it all again. I will, when she's old enough to understand. They hung up. Simone found her sitting in the dark living room an hour later. Was that Dan? Yes. What did he want? To make sure we were okay and to say goodbye. For real this time. Are you sad? No, just grateful for who he was, for who we both became. Simone sat beside her. Raymond's gone. Dan's finally moving on. Your mother is dead. All the ghosts of your past are being laid to rest. Feels like it. So what now? Sierra thought about it. Now we live, raise Riley, build our careers, love each other, do all the boring, beautiful things that make up a life. Sounds perfect. It was. Chapter 9. The debt no one expected. 3 years passed. Riley was 8, thriving, top of her class, loved by 2 mothers who showed up to every school event, every recital, every moment that mattered. Sierra's design business had expanded to 6 employees with clients across the country. Simone had made partner. They were successful, stable, happy. Raymond was still in prison, would be for another 2 years. Dan's letters had stopped completely. As promised, true closure. Then Simone came home one evening with news that shattered their peace. I need to tell you something, she said. Sierra looked up from helping Riley with homework. Something in Simone's voice made her stomach drop. What's wrong? A case came across my desk today, federal fraud investigation, healthcare fraud, and Dan's name came up. What did he do? Nothing illegal, but the hospital where he worked, where he was chief of surgery, is being investigated for systematic fraud, billing for procedures that never happened, falsifying records. The whole administration is going down. And Dan? Dan is being called as a witness because of his record, the board hearing, the falsified paternity report. The prosecutors want to establish a pattern of record falsification within the hospital. But Dan had nothing to do with systematic fraud. I know, but his case is the most well-documented example. It's perfect for building a narrative. So they're using him as a scapegoat, as a witness. But yes, they're going to drag him through testimony about the worst decision of his life. On national television, this case is huge. Millions in fraud. Media coverage will be intense. Can he refuse? Not without contempt of court. Federal subpoena. Sierra stood, pacing. He lost everything to protect me once. Now he's going to lose even more. His reputation, his privacy, everything he's built in Montana. Probably yes. That's not fair. No, but it's legal. Riley looked between them. Is Uncle Dan in trouble? They'd told Riley about Dan when she was 6. The doctor who'd delivered her, who'd made hard choices to keep her safe. Yes, honey, Uncle Dan is in trouble. Can we help him? Sierra looked at Simone. Can we? What are you thinking? That Dan protected me when it cost him everything. Maybe it's time I returned the favor. How? By testifying. By telling the truth about why he falsified that report. By making sure the court understands he wasn't part of some fraud scheme. He was trying to protect his patient. You'd have to testify about your pregnancy, about that night with Dan, everything. I know. Public record, media coverage. Riley will read about it someday. I know that too. Simone studied her face. You're sure? Dan set himself on fire for me once. I'm not letting him burn alone this time. The trial was scheduled for 6 months out. Simone couldn't represent her, conflict of interest, but found the best medical fraud attorney in the state. Together, they built a defense strategy, not for Dan, who wasn't on trial, but for his reputation. Sierra wrote to Dan, first letter in 3 years. Dan, I heard about the trial, about the subpoena, about prosecutors using your case as evidence. I'm testifying, whether you want me to or not, because you protected me when it cost you everything. I'm going to tell the truth, all of it, about why you did what you did, about the fact that you acted alone, that you were protecting your patient, not committing fraud for profit. You don't get to save me and then disappear while people tear you apart. See you at the trial. Sierra. His response came a week later. Sierra, don't do this. Don't drag yourself and your family through this mess for me. I made my choices. I can live with the consequences, but I can't live with knowing I destroyed your peace again. Please, let this go. Dan. She wrote back immediately. Dan, no. Sierra. The trial began on a Monday in spring. Federal courthouse. Media everywhere. The hospital administration charged with systematic fraud totaling over $50 million. Dan was one of 30 witnesses. Sierra sat in the gallery watching him take the stand. He looked older. The years in Montana had weathered him, but he carried himself with dignity. The prosecutor went for the throat. Dr. Lawrence, isn't it true that you falsified medical records while serving as chief of surgery at Metro General Hospital? Yes. And this falsification involved manipulating blood test results and paternity records? Yes. And the hospital administration was aware of your actions? No. The prosecutor blinked. No. No. I acted alone. Without knowledge or approval of hospital administration, my actions were not part of any systematic fraud. They were personal decisions made for personal reasons. Personal reasons, such as protecting a patient I cared about from an insurance investigation that would have delayed critical care during a high-risk pregnancy. A patient you had a personal relationship with? Yes. The prosecutor smiled. So you admit your judgment was compromised? My judgment was informed by personal knowledge. There's a difference. I knew this patient's history, her trauma, her vulnerability, and I made a choice to protect her from additional stress that could have endangered her life and her baby's life. By committing fraud. By prioritizing patient care over bureaucratic protocol. If that's fraud, I'm guilty. But it's not systematic fraud. It's not corruption. It's one doctor making one difficult choice for one patient. The prosecutor tried to twist it, but Dan held his ground, answered every question with calm honesty, never implicated the hospital. When the prosecutor sat down, Sierra's attorney stood. Dr. Lawrence, did you profit financially from falsifying those records? No. Did anyone at the hospital ask you to falsify them? No. Did you falsify records for any other patients? No. So this was a single incident, driven by concern for one specific patient, not part of a pattern or institutional corruption. Correct. Dan stepped down, left before Sierra could reach him, but she'd be back tomorrow, when it was her turn. The next morning, Sierra took the stand, swore to tell the truth, looked out at the packed courtroom, saw reporters, saw Simone with Riley, saw Dan in the back, trying to be invisible. The prosecutor started gentle, asked about her pregnancy, about Elijah's death, about complications. Then he went for the throat. Mrs. Reeves, isn't it true that you had an intimate relationship with Dr. Lawrence shortly before your pregnancy? Yes, we were married, then divorced, then slept together once while signing divorce papers. And Dr. Lawrence believed your baby might be his? Yes, based on preliminary blood work that showed a discrepancy. And he falsified records to hide this? He falsified records to protect me from an insurance investigation that would have delayed my care during a life-threatening emergency. Whether the baby was his or not was irrelevant. He was trying to keep me alive. So you're defending his criminal actions. I'm providing context for his difficult decision. The prosecutor tried to make her sound biased, emotional, unreliable. But Sierra had spent years learning to be strong. She answered every question with clarity. Mrs. Reeves, are you aware that Dr. Lawrence accessed your medical files 47 times in 1 week? I am now. I wasn't then. Doesn't that seem obsessive? It seems like a doctor monitoring a critical patient, which is literally his job. Or a man obsessed with his ex-wife. Or both. Humans are complicated, but his obsession, if that's what you want to call it, saved my life and my daughter's life. So I'm grateful for it. When Sierra's attorney got her turn, she asked the questions that mattered. "Mrs. Reeves, did Dr. Lawrence's actions harm you?" "No, they saved me." "Did he ask for anything in return? Money? Reconciliation?" "No, he lost his career and expected nothing back." "Did anyone at Metro General know about Dr. Lawrence's decision?" "No, he acted completely alone, to protect me, not as part of institutional corruption." Sierra stepped down, found Dan waiting in the hallway. "You shouldn't have done that," he said. "You shouldn't have done a lot of things, but you did them anyway." "Sierra, no, you don't get to martyr yourself and then complain when someone tries to save you." Dan almost smiled. "You're right. So, accept the help. Let people fight for you for once." "I will. Thank you." They stood in the courthouse hallway and finally achieved something they'd never managed when married: partnership. The trial continued for 2 more weeks. Other witnesses testified. The hospital administration was convicted of systematic fraud. But Dan's testimony, combined with Sierra's, established that his case was separate, personal, not evidence of institutional corruption. The prosecutors tried to charge him anyway, but Sierra's attorney fought back, argued that he'd already been punished, that charging him again would be double jeopardy. The judge agreed. Dan walked away with no additional charges, his reputation intact, his life in Montana undisturbed. Before she left the courthouse, Dan stopped her one last time. "I owe you," he said. "No, we're even. Finally, we're even. More than even. You saved me when you didn't have to. You set yourself on fire for me first. I just returned the favor." Dan pulled her into a hug, brief, tight, then let her go. "Be happy, Sierra. You deserve it." "You too, Dan. You too." She walked away, didn't look back, because some stories end not with romance or tragedy, but with mutual respect and separate peace. And that was enough. Chapter 10. The Wedding That Closed the Circle. 5 years passed. Riley was 13, tall and beautiful and brilliant, with Elijah's kindness and Sierra's stubborn determination and Simone's sharp wit. She asked about Dan sometimes, about the doctor who delivered her. Sierra told her the truth, all of it. The messy, complicated human truth. "Did you love him?" Riley asked once. "Yes, very much, at the wrong time." "Do you still?" "I love who he was to me, but I'm in love with Mama Simone. Those are different things." Riley accepted this. She'd grown up watching love in its healthiest form. Then the invitation arrived. Heavy cardstock, expensive printing. "Dr. Dan Lawrence and Joanna Mitchell request the pleasure of your company at their wedding." "Are we going?" Simone asked. "I don't know. Is it weird?" "Probably. But when has that stopped us?" They decided to go. All 3 of them. Riley was excited to finally meet Uncle Dan. The wedding was small, intimate, in a converted barn, 50 guests, mostly Dan's colleagues from Montana and Joanna's family. Dan was greeting guests, older now, grey at the temples, laugh lines around his eyes. He looked happy, really happy. Joanna was beside him, kindergarten teacher, exactly as he'd described, uncomplicated and kind and looking at Dan like he'd hung the moon. "Sierra," Dan said when he saw her, "you came. You invited me. I didn't think you'd actually come." "Well, here we are." He hugged her, shook Simone's hand, then knelt to Riley's level. "You must be Riley. I've heard so much about you. You delivered me when I was trying to die." Dan laughed. "That's one way to put it." "Yes, I did. And you've grown up beautiful and brilliant. Mom says you made hard choices to keep me safe. I did, and I'd do it again." "Thank you." The ceremony was simple, beautiful. Dan and Joanna exchanged vows about second chances and quiet love and building something sustainable. When they kissed, Sierra felt tears on her face, not because she wanted Dan back, but because she was genuinely happy for him. At the reception, Dan's son ran around with the other children, 7 years old now, Thomas. He had Dan's eyes and Joanna's gentle spirit. Simone pulled Sierra onto the dance floor. "You okay?" Simone asked. "Yes, I really am." "No regrets?" "None. He's exactly where he should be." "And you're where you should be." "Yes. With you. Always with you." Riley took photos on her phone, posted them with captions about love and family. Later, Dan came to their table. "Can I talk to you?" he asked Sierra. "Just for a minute?" They walked outside. The Montana sky was full of stars. "Thank you for coming," Dan said. "It means more than you know." "I'm happy for you. You deserve this." "So do you. Simone is good for you, and Riley is incredible." "She is." Sierra looked up at the stars. "We did okay, didn't we? Despite everything, we both ended up okay." "Better than okay. We ended up happy, with the right people, at the right time." Dan pulled out an envelope. "I have something for you, a wedding gift." Inside was a check, a large one. "What is this?" "The $50 million I donated to the hospital. They returned it after the fraud trial. Said they couldn't keep money donated by someone who'd committed fraud. So I'm giving it to you. Start a foundation. Help women escaping abusive relationships. Fund prenatal care for high-risk pregnancies. Do something good with it." Sierra stared at the check. "This is too much." "It's exactly enough. Please take it. Build something beautiful from all the ugly things we survived. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Say you'll take this money and turn it into something that helps other women who need what you needed." Sierra folded the check carefully. "Yes, I'll do it. Thank you. Thank you. For everything. For testifying. For forgiving me. For letting me be part of Riley's story, even from a distance." "You'll always be part of her story." They stood in comfortable silence. Two people who'd loved each other badly and somehow ended up loving each other better from a distance. "I should get back to my wife," Dan said. "That's still weird to say." "It suits you." They walked back. Joanna was dancing with Thomas. Simone was talking with Riley. Dan rejoined his wife. Sierra rejoined hers. At the end of the night, Riley came up to Dan. "Uncle Dan, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Do you wish I was your daughter, instead of just someone you delivered?" Dan knelt down, looked at this brilliant 13-year-old. "I think about that sometimes," he said honestly. "But then I remember that you have Elijah's kindness, and your mum's strength, and Simone's integrity. Those things make you exactly who you're supposed to be. If you were my daughter, you'd be different. Maybe not better, just different." "So you don't wish things were different?" "No. I wish things were exactly as they are, because you're perfect, and your family is perfect. And I got to play a small part in making sure you got to exist. That's enough for me." Riley hugged him. "Thank you for keeping me safe." "Always, kid, always." They left Montana the next morning. Riley fell asleep in the back seat. Simone drove. Kiera watched the landscape pass and thought about $50 million and all the ways it could help women who needed it. "You're thinking about the foundation," Simone said. "How did you know?" "Because I know you. You're already planning it. Women escaping abuse, prenatal care for high-risk pregnancies, legal aid for custody battles, all of it. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be hard. Beautiful things usually are." After a while, Simone asked the question Sierra had been waiting for. "Any regrets? About Dan? About what might have been?" "No," Sierra said honestly, "because what might have been would have destroyed us both. We were too young, too broken, too desperate to be fixed by someone else instead of fixing ourselves. And now? Now we're both whole, with people who make us better." They got home late, put Riley to bed, collapsed on the couch together. "I love you," Sierra said, "in case I don't say it enough." "You say it plenty, but I never get tired of hearing it." "I love you. I love our life. I love that we get to wake up every day and choose this." "Me too." Riley came downstairs an hour later. Couldn't sleep. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Always," Sierra said. "Do you think Uncle Dan is happy? Like really happy? Yes, I do. Good. He deserves it, after everything he did for us. Riley curled up between them on the couch, 13 years old and still young enough to want to be near her mothers. Simone pulled a blanket over all three of them. I'm glad our family is weird, Riley said, with the complicated ex-husband who became an uncle and the two mums and the dead dad I never met who was a good person. Weird families are the best families, Simone said. There's no such thing as a normal family, Sierra added, just different versions of complicated. Then I like our version of complicated. Me too, baby. Me too. They fell asleep like that. Three people who'd built a family from grief and second chances and stubborn determination. Somewhere in Montana, Dan Lawrence slept beside his new wife, dreaming of the quiet life they'd built. In a prison 2 states over, Raymond counted down days, though he'd long since lost the power to hurt anyone. And Sierra's mother's grave sat unvisited, because some ghosts don't deserve flowers. But in their living room, under a worn blanket, Sierra and Simone and Riley breathed in synchronization. A family, chosen, built, perfect in its imperfection. Years later, Riley would graduate college, would become a social worker, would dedicate her life to helping children from broken homes, and she'd always tell people about the doctor who'd risked everything to keep her alive before she was even born. Not as a romantic story, but as a reminder that love comes in different forms. Sometimes love is passion and fire and destroying each other beautifully. Sometimes love is quiet mornings and shared responsibilities and choosing each other when it's hard. And sometimes love is committing fraud to protect someone's baby, losing everything, and being grateful for the loss because it forced you to rebuild into someone better. All of it is love, all of it matters, and all of it brought Riley Elijah Lane Reeves into existence. A girl loved by 2 mothers, remembered by a father who died, and protected by a man who'd once loved her mother enough to set himself on fire. That was the story Sierra told her daughter, the complicated, messy, beautiful truth. And Riley grew up understanding that family isn't about perfection, it's about showing up, even when it costs everything, especially when it costs everything. The end.